start?
Yeah, go for it, Lucas. Green light.
Okay, green light. So, hi everyone. Hi all. First of all, thank you for participating in this event organized by EIT Health in partnership with EIT Health France. Welcome for participating. My name is Lucas Perez. I'm the French representative for the EIT Health Alumni Network, and I'm also an author and expert in healthcare and aging solutions. So today it's my pleasure to welcome Guillaume Bezie, a researcher and the co-founder of Sibius, and Héloïse Priou from EIT Health France, in charge of communication into the acceleration program in EIT Health France. So today we're going to talk about mental health, neurological disorders, and artificial intelligence. Just a quick reminder, mental health and its opposite, neurological disorders, is a huge topic. The World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being in which individual realize his or her abilities. There are many different mental health with different presentations. They are generally characterized by the combination of abnormal thoughts, perception, emotions, behaviors, and relationship with the others. Mental health disorders include, for example, depression, schizophrenia, dementia, and neurodevelopmental disorder such as autism. And it's the topic, it's the main field of Sibius, driven by Guillaume Bezie. At this time of pandemic, at this time, the sanitary crisis we are facing asks us many questions about mental health. For example, 264 million people around the world are affected by depression. More women are affected by depression than men. Dementia. For dementia, it's 50 million people suffer by dementia. That is usually a chronic or progressive nature in which there is a deterioration in cognitive function. Cognitive function is the ability to process thought and beyond what we might be expect from normal aging, from the senior population. But we are optimistic. In the meanwhile, we have hundreds of projects and startups working on mental health technologies such as virtual reality, such as mental health management apps, or artificial intelligence tools to prevent and detect these disorders. And to illustrate that, I let Héloïse introduce what EIT Health France do for it and give us a quick overview of the growth of artificial intelligence through projects and businesses in this field. So, Héloïse, if you want to intervene, you have the green light.
Thank you, Lucas. And thank you for giving me the opportunity actually to present the EIT Health France Accelerator activities. Very happy to be here this morning. So I'm going to share my presentation right now, if I manage to do it, because there we go. Okay. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Cool. So yes, I'm Héloïse. I'm the Business Creation Marketing, Comms and Events Coordinator for the EIT Health France Accelerator activities. I'm here today with Ipshita, is actually part of the audience this morning, but she is the Business Creation Coordinator for France. And I just wanted to briefly introduce what we do. I'm sure that most of you already know that EIT Health is one of the world's largest network dedicated to health, with more than 150 partner organizations. And here on this map, you can actually see the French partners highlighted. So it's just to give a quick overview of all the partners that we have here in France and with which we work on a daily basis. So the EIT Health Accelerator offer is structured in 4 what we call access to activities. So you will have access to knowledge, access to market, access to stakeholders, and access to investor and funding. So this means that for all these access to sections, you will have a program or more than one program that will allow you to get in touch with mentors, with the EIT Health Network, with investors, depending on your needs, basically. So the way it is structured allows us to really focus on what the startup needs to accomplish, what the next steps of its developments are, and to offer the program that matches best these needs. So I'm not going to go into the details of each program because this presentation is not about that, but it's really to give a quick overview of our offer. So in terms of the French accelerator specifically, so we work with a wide ecosystem of clusters, of incubators, all throughout France, and of course with Europe, thanks to the partners. And we have supported 133 startups in France since 2016, which have attracted more than 78 million euros of investment just last year. So we were very happy to see that the quality of these startups is always highlighted by all these investments that they've managed to attract. And because today is a webinar focusing on AI, I thought that I would do a little focus on these startups that we've supported that actually use AI in their solution or in their product. So these are the ones for the focus of the year 2020. These are the startups that are based on AI for their solution. So you can see that they're quite a lot. They represent 33% of all the startups that we've supported in 2020. So that's 22 startups out of 65, sorry. And compared to 2019, this is actually an increase in the number of startups based on AI, because there were only 16 out of 66 startups in 2019. And we have supported more and more startups since the beginning of the accelerator activities in 2016. So really the share of these AI-based startups is increasing year by year. And I wanted to give you a little case study of a startup that like this uses AI. So this is VitaDX. I don't know if some of you already know the startup, but they basically develop an in vitro medical device that uses image processing software and AI to diagnose cancer at a very early stage. And they're focusing at the moment on bladder cancer. And they went through 3 EIT Health programs. I think it was Catapult, Investor Network, and I think not Bridgehead, but something else, and I can't remember. Sorry about this. Again, sometimes I get mixed up with all the startups that we have. But basically, what they've told us up until now is that this support from EIT Health allowed them to gain 12 months in terms of fast track, and fast track access to investors, to the EIT Health networks, like allowing them to develop faster their products thanks to our support, and that it really played a key role in their international visibility. So as I said, not going to go into the details, but this is just to show that according to each category of needs, we have the programs that match these needs. And the reason why I'm here today is because actually some of these programs, this is a timeline of the call. Some of these programs are going to close to applications soon. So if you are interested, it's basically time to get in touch with us and to take a look at the programs further, because you can see that here we have a few that are going to stop on the 16th of March. So now is the time to start basically applying. And if you want to learn more, we have a webinar organized on the 9th of March, so next Tuesday at 11 a.m. So since some of you guys are probably on your computers, if you want to register right now, you can scan this QR code. I don't know if maybe I can share this presentation to the audience after so that you have the link also to register, but don't hesitate also to contact us if you have any questions about the accelerator. We would be happy to answer them and to talk you through all the programs that we have to offer. Thank you all.
So, okay, thank you, Eloise. Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Eloise, for your presentation. It's very interesting, and as you said, there are several applications of artificial intelligence in the area of healthcare, and especially in oncology. So today we will discuss on artificial intelligence and mental health. And your program, your acceleration program is very interesting and very relevant for those who want to develop and create such products in this field. So today we are discussing on artificial intelligence. We are discussing on neurological disorders. And we know neuroimaging solutions, for example, could improve our knowledge of such alterations in brain maturation, for example, such as schizophrenia or autistic disorders. But new technologies driven by artificial intelligence could improve and precise the diagnosis at an early stage. And many questions could be asked, for example, how artificial intelligence could detect some neurological diseases from the early life autisms from the baby. For example, what type of technology exists today to detect this type of pathology and help medical specialists, but also family to tackle these disorders. And one of these technology is Sibius. And Guillaume will talk about it. So Guillaume, if you want to present Sibius, it's okay, and it's your turn. Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Eloise, for the invitation, and thank you for all the ecosystem EIT Health in France and in Europe. I think it's very good for us, for startups and for researchers to have this kind of ecosystem to transfer the technology from the research to the market, in fact. And so I'm not a researcher, I'm precise. I'm just a doctor in pharmacy. So, and I have a background in mostly in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm also, as I mentioned, as I define myself as an old young startupper. And it's my pleasure to be here today to talk about the area of mental disorders and neurological disorders, and how artificial intelligence can improve the way we detect these diseases for the benefits of the patient, of course. And my vision was that new technology and artificial intelligence combined with neurosciences had the power to change the status quo for patients affected by neurological disorders and mental illnesses. So I left the big pharma ecosystem to dive into the swimming pool of digital health. And from my point of view, if we want to transform deeply this area, we need to address the root causes of neurological and mental disorders. This means we have to deconstruct the traditional way we classify mental illnesses and take distances with DSM-5 and CIM-10, because current diagnostic systems for mental disorders were established before the tools of neuroscience were available. And also they have improved the reliability of psychiatric classification. Progress toward the discovery of disease etiologies and novel approaches to treatment and prevention may benefit from alternative conceptualization of mental disorders. So this is the aim of, perhaps you have heard this project, the Research Domain Approach. It's a research initiative created in 2009 in the US. And I'm not talking about just myself, it's a very huge movement in the research to transfer the new knowledge of neurosciences to the area of psychiatry. So, in fact, we have to use the last knowledge of brain functioning to redesign the way we detect and classify patients. And it is urgent to do it, and it's urgent to make significant progress because, as mentioned by you, Lucas, mental and neurological disorders are another growing epidemic. So today, my aim is not to talk only about Sibius, but it's to show different projects, Sibius, of course, but also other projects that addresses this, in fact, this very huge problem, which is the early detection of cognitive disorders. Because if we detect earlier, we can treat better and save the inclusion for this patient. So as you mentioned, Lucas, 1 out of 4 people in the world are or will be affected by neurological and mental disorders, and half of them could have been detected before the age of 14. And until now, detection and diagnosis rely only on clinical expertise. There is no simple biomarker to detect a mental disorders in primary care. As an example, when you visit a primary care physician, the first thing he or she does is to take your blood pressure. The physician needs this biomarker to evaluate your physical condition. But if you have a mental disorder, your doctor has no objective measure. This leads to delay between the first onset of symptoms and the beginning of the treatment. It has been estimated that at 11 years, on average, for psychiatric diseases. So let me take the example of Mary and her son, Max. When Max was 2 years, Mary had concerns about his verbal ability. The primary care practitioner told the worried mother to be patient because, you know, each child is different and develops at their own pace. At 3 years, Max refused to play with other children and stayed hours in his bedroom parking little plastic toys in parallel lines. Against the opinion of the family, she decided to show Max to a psychologist specialized in children. And she did well, because Max should be seen by the Autism Diagnosis Center. After 1 year, the delay before the first available appointment, an autism spectrum disorder has been diagnosed, and Max started an appropriate support program to improve his social and communication skills. So this is not rare. This story is common in developed countries. Autism affects 62 million in the world, 62 million people in the world, and the impact of autism on the life has been estimated between 1 to 2 million euros for an individual. If appropriate intervention starts before the age of 4 years, severe symptoms could be controlled to improve inclusion and reduce lifetime cost by 70%. So today, In developed countries, these interventions usually begin before diagnosis. Next slide, please. Before the age of 6 years. Because detection of early signs of autism is challenging, and especially in infants and new children. It needs time and expertise in child psychiatry, and the available detection tools are based on clinical evaluation and questionnaire, pen and paper questionnaire. So now you can understand that early detection of children with high risk of developmental disorders is essential to select appropriate follow-up approaches and begin appropriate therapeutic interventions. So next slide, please. To illustrate the contribution of artificial intelligence in early detection of neurological disorders in children, I would like to talk about 3 solutions. The first one is the one we are developing at Sibius, and we'll show you a way to identify children at risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in primary care. The second one is Cognoa. It is a US-based company with a solution to help clinicians in the diagnosis of autism. And the last one is in fact a research project in Norway called eMotion. It is a solution that is able to predict neurological disorders in premature infants aged 5 months. So next slide, please. Okay. At Sibius, in collaboration with the CNRS, we developed a patent-protected solution called DigiTracker with the aim to detect children at risk of neurodevelopmental disorders within 10 minutes, in fact, the time of a common consultation. Our approach is based on a well-known marker, head movement analysis. In fact, gaze movement is known to be a good biomarker for the detection of cognitive disorders linked to neurological and mental disease, especially autism. Our solution, next slide, please. Our solution, DigiTracker, is using a simple software on a touchpad screen. The principle is very easy to understand for children and doctors. Blurred pictures are displayed, and when you touch the screen, as you can see on the GIF, you touch the screen with your finger. You create a small sharpness area and discover the details of the picture. And to explore all the details, you have to move your finger on the screen. Next slide, please. Using this software, it is available on Apple Store, only for iPad tablet. We collect high-quality data from different types of subjects, LC1 or sick, with diagnosis of different neurodevelopmental disorders like autism, ADHD, and others, from young children, but also for adults and elderly. We use the same set of pictures for everyone. So our database today contains more than 20,000 explorations by almost 600 patients. Patients, LC1 and LC subjects, of course. So next slide, please. Yeah, for a given image, we know that the spontaneous pathway will be the same for healthy people. We do all the same on the picture. But if you have a neurological disorders, your pathway will be different. So we use our database of exploration to train algorithm in order to discriminate healthy subjects from at-risk subjects. For instance, our algorithm is able to identify atypical exploration, and then, based on all the exploration of one subject, our algorithm can classify the subject as atypical with a sensitivity of 92% in the experiment we are doing now. Next slide, please. So this is the picture of classification of the data set we used. to show you that we can discriminate healthy adults from infants and young adults with autism. In red, you have the autism subject, and in blue, the healthy subject. So the next step for us is to reinforce our database, of course, under the age of 4 years, because we want to make a very early detection and to lower the age of detection of diagnosis in order to improve the sensitivity of our algorithm for young children, of course. And we expect to develop our commercial platform of detection by the end of 2021. So I will not spend all the time on Sibius, of course, and I would like to present you another project. It's a kind of competitor, of course, for us, but it's also, I must say, a future partner for perhaps. It's Cognoa. So as mentioned earlier, Cognoa is a Californian startup created in 2013. And they have developed a platform to help primary care physicians for the diagnosis of autism from the age of 18 months. Cognoa's algorithm uses 3 sources of data: a 4-minute parent report questionnaire delivered via mobile app, a list. In fact, it's a list of key behaviors identified from a 2-minute semi-structure, 2-minute questionnaire. And the second source of data is semi-structure home videos of children. In fact, the parent take 2 or 3 videos with their mobile phone of their children doing playing with toys or during the lunch. And after that, the third source of data is a 2-minute questionnaire presented to the clinicians at the time of the clinical assessment during the visit with the children. So in order to collect data in general population, Cognoa application has been used by 300,000 parents in the US and internationally. So they have a huge amount of video from different kind of children. And next slide, please. Cognoa performed a clinical study to compare the performance of their platform to the 3 assessment tools that are used by the clinician. For example, the MChat is a very common assessment tool for the clinician. And you see the results. They are very impressive. And so the clinician can make a diagnosis within a very short time, in fact. So Cognoa is close to the market since they have initiated a de novo procedure to be approved by the FDA. So the last case from my point of view, is the most impressive one. It is in motion. It is a Norwegian team research, and they are seeking for a startup to commercialize their solution. So if you guys are interested, it's a very nice project. So we know that during the first months of life, spontaneous infant movements may indicate later neurodevelopmental disorders, such as cerebral palsy, Rett syndrome, and autism. And the expert-based observation of general movements from video, known as general movement assessment, has been recommended for clinical use in high-risk infants less than 5 months of age. It has shown to predict normal motor development with high accuracy. However, general movement assessment depends on individual expert training and interpretations and requires time for video observation and analysis. So in motion, research team developed a smartphone application that makes it possible for parents to video film their infants' spontaneous movements at home, upload, and send the video for analysis. The solution uses an algorithm which has been trained by neural network and can predict the risk of cerebral palsy as well as human trained expert. So next slide, please, Lucas. So if you click on the photo, we can launch the video because they made a very smart video to illustrate their solution. Yeah. Perhaps I can do it. I will do it, Lucas. You can see the video, Lucas? You can see the video, Lucas?
Sorry? I can see it.
No. I will share like that. Okay. You can see it?
Cerebral palsy affects approximately 4% of the 15 million premature children born yearly.
Okay.
Normally, teams of doctors and physical therapists diagnose cerebral palsy treatments that include learning about movements, a brain-computer process requiring experts and hospital visits. At HPNU AI Lab, we are developing a new way of identifying cerebral palsy using neurons connected to the brain. The first experiment describes movements of a computer analyzes movement and identifies children with potential symptoms of silence. The early artificial intelligence before specialists develop therapy. Using this approach, NTNU's interdisciplinary collaboration speeds up the diagnosis process and allows children removed from research to think further.
Okay. So there was sound.
Okay, it's okay, Guillaume. Okay.
Yeah, but the strange. Yeah, there was a strange noise. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm coming back to the right slide.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm done with this example. So I think we can share some questions if you want. Lucas, if you have some questions about about the subject.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting and promising for the future of a detection system for autism. And personally, I think it was very interesting. And my first question is, you talk about your solution based on eye tracking, but why did you choose this type of marker?
In fact, gaze movement analysis is in fact a solid marker of cognitive disorders, which has been studied in very different mental and neurological diseases. It is backed by hundreds of scientific publications, but in fact, whatever the devices of eye tracking, all the devices are based on a camera that capture eye movements. So it generates a lot of noise in the data. And for these two reasons, eye tracking is not compatible with day-to-day primary care physician's job. So at the CNRS, the scientific team, who know very well all the benefits and the difficulties to use eye tracking, they develop digitracking and demonstrate that the pathway of the finger guided by the eye is very similar to eye trajectory recorded by an eye tracking device. So this is the basis of the basis of the solution.
Okay, so if I well understood, there are some gold standards behind your process, behind your technology, but on which gold standards your competitor Cognoa based on?
Actually, they adapted a well-known test, the ADOS, Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule. It is one of the gold standards used by specialists to evaluate the behaviors of children at risk of autism. And this test takes between 45 and an hour to be made. So it is time consuming and have to be done by trained experts. So Cognoa, to train the algorithm, they use ADOS experts, and they made a huge work by analyzing the thousands of mobile videos taken by the parents. So to do that, they used a short set of criteria extracted from ADOS and validated by psychiatrists. And this is the basic, this is the trained data set they use to train the algorithm. In fact.
Mm-hmm. So we know that artificial intelligence is based on gold standard. And my question is, artificial intelligence one day maybe could bypass some gold standards to develop its own gold standards. In other words, what is the final goal of artificial intelligence? This is an autonomous artificial intelligence, or just an artificial intelligence driven by a human being, for example? What's your view?
Yeah, sure. I think we are just at the beginning of the story regarding the real potential of artificial intelligence in healthcare. For the moment, in fact, we are demonstrating that we will be able to use a solution based on artificial intelligence that mimic the medical experts. But tomorrow, when artificial intelligence gain trust among the medical community, I believe that deep learning models would be able to find new ways for early detection, for instance, which are not affordable to medical experts today, to their knowledge today, by combining, in fact, very different sources of data, for instance, genetic, transcriptomic, real-world evidence, etc. By combining all this data in deep learning tool, I think we will find new ways for early detection, for instance, regarding the mental illnesses and neurological disorders.
Okay, right. And so you talk about data detection for your solution, for Sibius solution, but what about data collection? How Sibius manage its data collection through European regulation For example, the GDPR, for those who know the GDPR, the General Regulation on Personal Data. And what about ethics? For example, you manage personal data like that. What type of control you set up? What about this?
Yeah, it's a very important question, because it's obvious that there is no artificial intelligence without data in quantity, data in quality. So we need to be very solid in the collection, during the collection of the data. And for the moment at Sibius, all our data are collected under a clinical trial protocol. So each patient has to sign a consent form to participate, and there is an anonymization protocol when the data leave the tablet to be hosted on our servers. And of course, since we are developing our commercial platform, we are evaluating different on-shelf solutions to manage patient data and to be sure that our application will be compliant with the different regulations of all the countries, because we want to go to the US, and after that to the Asian countries. So we have to be sure that the solutions we will choose is compliant for every country. So one of these solutions is a Swiss one, and I make some marketing for us, and it's called Prive, and it's for me it could be a very good solution for us.
Mm-hmm. So online with this question, so I have a question from Jill. And Jill said, in terms of artificial intelligence data collection and cognitive impairment, is there any difference noted between the sex, ethnicity? So, yes,
yes. If we
there are some differences.
Yeah, I can say it for Sibius, and of course, we check that very carefully, and I can say that there is no differences on with our marker. We have data from China, hundreds of data we have collected in China, and there is no differences with the data collected in Europe. And also we check the differences in terms of sex, so there's no difference. And the only difference is regarding the status of neurodevelopment. Of course, it's obvious when the explorations are different when you are young and when you are older. So it's between the age of 2 years, 3 years, and the age of 15 years. There are differences in the exploration due to the age, and it's very logic, because there is an important neurodevelopment pace at these ages.
Mm-hmm. And we have another question from Jill, and this question is: was the ethics approval process difficult to obtain for these projects?
For France, yeah. For France,
yes, yes, and yeah, the question is for France or for another country.
But this is what is really interesting in Sibius is the fact that we work closely with CNRS. So when you work with a scientific research team, it's easier to get the approval to do this kind of collection among children, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So another questions. You spoke about very interesting solution, Sibius, Cognoa, the American company, and the Norwegian company that have the potential to change the future of children at risk of neurodevelopmental disorders. But what about senior population? What about seniors, and how does that for seniors?
If we talk about dementia on Alzheimer's disease, there is an interesting concept which is cognitive reserve. You know, this cognitive reserve refers to individual differences in how tasks are performed that may allow some people to be more resilient than others. And based on this concept, cognitive reserve, early intervention and medication have the potential to slow cognitive aging and reduce risk of dementia if we can detect early subtle signs of a cognitive decline. For instance, by combining digital tests based on gaze movement and other biomarkers, I think we will be able to monitor cognitive reserve of elderly people year after year and at an affordable price. So, and what I'm talking about is not science fiction. It is what Biogen, a pharmaceutical company specialized in CNS, is trying to do, in fact. They launched an observational study with Apple to identify digital biomarkers to help monitor cognitive performance and health, and potentially to detect mild cognitive impairments.
Okay, so we have a question from Angelique, and the question is InMotion targets all children as a first screening method or children with some predisposition?
Yeah, InMotion is dedicated to premature infants, because for these infants, the risk of cerebral palsy is very high. So in their study, they use data set from at-risk, very high-risk infants to do their algorithm, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Okay, we have another question from Maddie, and Maddie says, "What do you think about Neuralink?"
Yeah, I think we are with Neuralink. We are in another way of using neurosciences. It is to make an augmented brain. So I'm a little bit I'm a health guy. I'm from the healthcare system, and I want to cure diseases, but I'm not very seduced by the usage of technology to augment the human, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Because
it's my own opinion.
Because there are some problems in terms of ethics. The fact you integrate some maps in your head, in your mind, and so what is the purpose of this? And maybe it's the questions to, yes, and maybe a little bit scary too for us.
I think
so,
there's a lot enough to do with people with disease. So let's focus on this problem, and let the other do if they want to augment human.
Okay, thank you. And my last question. So I assume we are not at the end of the story. And what are the next challenges? And maybe what are your next challenges?
Yeah, of course, we are not at the end of the story. We are just at the beginning. I would like to emphasize that there is much work to be done. From my point of view, one of the hardest work will be to convince clinicians to change their habits and begin to use these new digital markers in their day-to-day activity. And the second job to be done will be to gather all these different digital markers into a multimodal platform. And at this time, we will be able to combine them and get the performance we need to redesign the way we evaluate neurological disorders and mental diseases. And, and at the conclusion, I would like to share 3 learnings I have learned at Sibius in the management of artificial intelligence project. The first one is really to be sure that you are addressing a true medical need, and that is not research for the research. The second one is to anticipate the way you can access to the data you need in terms of quality and in terms of quantity, because without data, you cannot build any artificial intelligence solution. And the last one, I think the success of the project stands in your ability to gather and work with a multidisciplinary team, because it's not very easy to align tech engineers, data scientists, and medical experts and researchers, for instance. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, yes, and we have a last question from Frances, but in the line with the previous question, which are, according to you, the main challenges area of development in the digital health space? Maybe mobile apps or other solutions regarding neuroscience, which are main challenges of development in the digital health space regarding the neurosciences?
Yeah, I think the main challenges is the ability to gather the data and to combine the data from different sources, because it's not we cannot imagine that one marker fits all. We have to combine different markers from different sources to improve significantly the way we detect or we can cure this kind of disease.
Thank you. So thank you, Guillaume. Thank you, Eloise, as well. It was a very interesting conference, and I'm very happy to see all these solutions develop in France and beyond. So before to close, I just want to thank all the participants, and I invite the participants to join the community, the EIT Health Alumni community, if you want to get more information in healthcare and autonomy, and if you want to participate in the future in many events, on-site events, we hope. And thank you for your participation, Guillaume and Heloise, and have a great weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, Heloise.